guys, welcome back to another video here at TCH for a live stream game. It's a huge one. It's 25.50. The 100 straddle will be on, and we're also going to play the knit game, which is basically the stand-up game rebranded here in Texas, and that's going to be on for $200 a person, so pretty expensive if you lose that. I'm in for $7,500, so pretty big buy-in. We got the caterpillar on the upper lip for good luck here, and appreciate all the support on the videos. If you guys are new, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're gonna play a huge pot, $18,000 incoming. You guys are gonna wanna check that out. Drop a like, let's go. All right, kicking off this 25.50, 100 straddle live stream, we look down at King 10 offsuit from the big blind. Patrick opens it up to $125 and Ram calls him on the button. I find myself in the big blind and decide to defend and put in the call. We are going three ways out of position to a flop, which actually gives me the best hand. It comes 10 deuce 4 with 2 diamonds. You can see that both other players hold at least 1 diamond in their hand, and Patrick has 2 of them, so let's see how we proceed on this flop. Patrick bets out for $200, and instead of going for the check raise with the king of diamonds in my hand, I decide just to put in the call, bringing us off to the turn, which comes a board pairing 4 of spades. Once again, I check it over to Patrick, who does not decide to slow down. Instead, he bets out for $475. I could put him on a flush draw. He could have some over pairs as well. So I decide just to play it smooth here and put in the call, leading us off to a river, which is not a diamond, thank goodness. It comes the 8 of clubs. Could have a leading range here and just try to get value from any of his ace highs, maybe his random pocket pairs like 9, 7, 6s, stuff like that that would just be checking behind. But instead, I find the check, and surprisingly, Patrick does not decide to go blasto on the river. I would have called him, but instead, he decides to check behind. But good news for us is we're taking down that $1,800 pot, building some momentum as we move into the next hand. All right, funny spot here. I picked up pocket 5s from the big blind. I'm a little bit confused though, and I'm under the impression that the player to my left put in a limp, but instead it's Danny Marks and he's in the third blind. Sometimes these 25, 50 blind games get me a little bit confused, and we just started the stream here and I thought that I could just check, but I can't. The action's on me. I am in the 25, he's in the 50, so I have to either call, fold, or raise. So after starting off with a check, which wasn't allowed, I decided to raise it up to $200. So kind of a funny spot here. Danny's processing that information as he will and decides to defend his $50 blind, puts in the call, and we're off to a flop, which comes 8-6-3 with 2 clubs. I decided to start with a check here. I'll have some over pairs, some over cards, stuff like that, but I don't think checking is a bad play. Danny checks behind with some backdoor draws, and the 4 of clubs peels off on the turn. We now pick up an open-ended straight flush draw, and I decide to play it tricky with another check. My plan is to go for the check raise if Danny decides to try to bluff me off the hand or value a pair, maybe like 7-8, 6-7, 6-5, something like that. I could go for the check raise here and put him in a tough spot, but instead Danny checks behind once again, leading us off to the jack of diamonds on the river. I think the plan is to get to a cheap showdown with my 4th pair, so I check once again. A little bit anticlimactic when he checks behind, but taking down that $400 pot. So kind of funny action there pre-flop and not being able to get the check raise on the turn, but still got to put some of these basic hands in there to mix it up with the large ones. All right, I'm pretty proud about how I played this hand. Patrick opens up 10-9 of hearts from the cutoff, and JD decides to 3-bet him from the button. Pretty standard so far, and when Ram and Paolo both get out of the way, the action's back around to me in the $50 blind, and I look down at pocket nueves. That's pocket 9s for all you non-Spanish speaking folks out there. And what would you guys do in this spot? We got an open and a 3-bet, and the action's on you in a blind. Do you put in the cold call? Do you fold? Or do you decide to put your money where your mouth is and come in for that cold 4-bet? $1,500 is the price that I make it, and it's pretty crazy when you're sitting with all your own money at the table. Sure, you can just say, yeah, I'm going to 4-bet it. But when you put out $1,500, which in some parts of the US are people's rent, and I'm just raising that to a 4-bet, I mean, it gets pretty gnarly. So yeah, I decided to come in for the 4-bet, and Patrick and JD both respect that raise. Kind of surprised that JD decides not to defend here in position. But I'm going to take that information and apply it in the next live stream as well. He's folding to my cold 4-bets. A lot of respect from JD. And we're going to take down that $2,200 pot pre-flop. All right, this is the hand of the night. So do me one favor before watching it. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do both of those things. And yeah, let's get into this hand here. Patrick opens up ace-queen offsuit from the hijack. He's been pretty active so far, so when the action comes back around to me, I would be 3-betting him with a wide range, but it helps that I have a premium ace-king of diamonds, and I decide to come in for a 3-bet out of position. You need to go large when you're out of position from the blinds, and I decide to make it 14-25. I like my sizing there. I maybe could have gone a little bit larger, maybe like 15, 16, 17, but you get the point. You got to go large in these spots, and the action's back around to Patrick from the hijack, who's doing a little dancing in his seat, trying to see how much I have in my stack. He has me covered. I have around 7.1K left in my stack, and he rips it all in my face. It's an $8,500 effective all-in. It's a 4-bet jam too, and you guys see how strong 4-bets are. People are folding ace-queen offsuit, but now Patrick decides to rip it with ace-queen offsuit as a 4-bet. I don't know if it's a bluff. I don't know if he's going for value or just trying to get me to fold a hand like 9s or 10s. But you can see my face. I'm a little bit disgusted. I don't really know what he's doing this with here. And this is my first time playing with Patrick, so I think about it and count out my stack. He's been playing a few hands, but I haven't really picked up on anything too out of line. So I'm just counting out my stack here and just making sure that I'm not doing anything stupid. But after a little bit of thinking, I realized ace-king of diamonds is way too strong to fold, even to a 4-bet all-in jam for $8,500. So I find the right call, put in the money, and we are going off to a run out. Patrick asked me how many times I want to run it, and normally I am a 2 or 3 kind of guy, but even without seeing the opponent's hand, something inside of me told me to run it only once, so I hold up one finger. The table looks a little bit shocked. The vlogger decides to run it one time in a 17.2K pot. Come on, dealer, one time. Let's go. Let's hold. We don't know what Patrick has, so the Jack 5-3 board is a little bit concerning in case he has ace, jack, or pocket jacks. The turn comes the ace of clubs, which makes me feel a little bit better, but the river now comes the 7 of spades. He turns over ace, queen pretty confidently, and I show the goods, ace-king of diamonds, getting me rewarded with this huge pot, which I think is the largest pot I've played on TCH Live. We're making history tonight. Let's go. All right, holy crap, you guys. We just played an 18K pot and won it. Ace-king suited there against ace-queen. We didn't need the ace on the turn. We just needed to hold, and we did. But bigger news to report is we are now playing 50-100. The straddle game was on, and people just want to keep it on. So now it's 50-100. I'm playing around 18K effective, so it's going to get pretty deep here, and hopefully we can buckle our seatbelts and win some more big pots. But pretty stoked at the moment. Mid-session update over. Let's get back into it. Let's go. All right, this is an interesting spot here. I open up pocket jacks from the low jack to $300. At this point, the $100 straddle is on, so the game is playing pretty big. And Danny on the button decides to come in for a 3-bet. He knows I'm going to be opening up the low jack with a pretty wide range over the $100 straddle. So I really like his 3-bet here with ace, 10 of diamonds, and he makes it $850. If the action was to come back around to me, I could be 4-betting, I could be flat calling, but that's not what's going to happen. Patrick in the small blind decides it didn't work out the first time with ace-queen off. Why not come in for a 4-bet once again? And this time he decides on a sizing of $2,300. Now the action's back around to me and I'm in a tough spot. On one hand, we just saw Patrick 4-bet shove with ace-queen off, but on the second hand, if someone did that and got caught and tabled the hand and lost a huge pot, do you think they would do it again? I mean, I don't really know. I'm opening, there's a 3-bet, and now he's going to cold 4-bet to $2,300. I just think his range is going to be very, very strong. At the end of the day, I decide to make a fold here. It looks like I'm folding the best hand pre-flop. Danny ultimately decides to rip it all in for $8,700, which at the time made me feel pretty great about my fold. Patrick ends up folding though, which is kind of disgusting to see. And after the session, I checked the tape and saw that I folded the best hand. But let's pull up GTO Wizard because I want to see if I made the right play or not. You can see here on GTO Wizard, after I open up from the low jack, Danny on the button raises me up, and the small blind comes in for that cold 4-bet from the low jack. Pocket jacks is a clear fold. The only hands I should really be continuing with here are aces, kings, ace-king suited, half of ace-king offsuit, and then a quarter of ace jack suited. So pocket jacks are a clear fold here. You can also see, interestingly enough, that queens are a clear fold, but at the same time, you could be playing pocket queens, I think, because of the nature of the live stream. But pocket jacks by far is a clear fold, and I'm pretty stoked to have the solver confirm what I thought was a good fold in the moment. All right, the $100 straddle is still on in this next hand. Paolo opens it up from the cutoff to $250, and I'm on the button, and I decide to re-raise him. Cold 3-bet to $800. I also have the knit button in front of me, so I definitely want to get rid of that. When the action folds back around to Paolo, he finds the fold. We show the table the goods and get rewarded by not only getting the pot, but also getting rid of that stupid knit button we definitely do not want to have by the end of the orbit. All right, Patrick finally picks up a good hand and raises it up from the +2 position with queens. He makes it $300 and the action's back over to me on the button. At this point, I've definitely got a read on Patrick that he's opening a lot of hands. So ace-10 of clubs is definitely going to be a hand I want to 3-bet, and I decide to size up to $900. Unfortunately for me though, the boy from the small blind picks up ace-king offsuit, and he's coming in for that cold 4-bet and makes it $2,500. The action folds back around to Patrick. Let's see what he does here with the queens. Is he going to call that $2,500, or is he going to do something special and get it all in? No, he actually decides to fold pocket queens, so definitely didn't expect that from Patrick. But when the action's back around to me, even though I'll be in position, I'm not going to give the boy $1,600 of my hard-earned money. So I find the fold, and he's going to take that one down, moving us right along into the next hand where I look down at ace-3 of spades from the under the gun. You can see the knit game is back on. We won the last one, so we earned ourselves $200, but the game is not over. We keep running it back every so often. So yeah, the game is back on here. Got to go on the offensive, and I decide to call with ace-3 of spades. Could be 3-betting here and trying to thin the field, but more often than not, we're just going to go off to a bloated pot multi-way if I do that. So I decide to play a good hand here that can flop pretty well. 4 ways, and let's see what it comes out. 8-7-4 with 2 clubs. Doesn't help me in the slightest. The action checks through on the flop, and the turn card now comes the 9 of clubs. After no one showed any interest on the flop, I decide to take a stab out into this here for $500. I'm hoping everyone just folds, I can show the bluff, and I get rid of the knit button and earn myself the pot. But unfortunately for me, Mo Money actually picks up a flush here with Queen Jack of clubs. I don't know how he didn't bet that flop, but he gets rewarded by a fish, aka me, betting out into him, and he just has the stone cold nizzies, I guess. He puts in the call, and the river now comes the 7 of clubs, which is a very interesting card. It changes the texture of the board completely. Any ace or king of clubs will have Mo Money beat. Additionally, pocket 8s, pocket 4s, pocket 9s, 7-8, 7-9, 7-4 all beat Mo Money. So yeah, I'm going to recognize this is a card that changes the dynamic of the board. And I decide to bet out large here with my ace high. I know I can't win if I start with a check, so I bet out for $1,100. And you can see, even with the queen high flush, Mo Money goes into the tank. He doesn't love life, but ultimately I think his hand is just a little bit too strong to fold. He decides that as well and puts in the call. So the knit button does not go away. We lose a big pot. We're going to move right along into this next hand where it's down to 2 players for the knit game. Myself and Yacht Club, the awesome gentleman, 2 seats over to my left. Now here's what's on the line. Since it's heads up between me and him, whoever loses this will have to pay out $1,600 to the table. There's 8 other people in the game. Everyone gets $200. So yeah, $1,600 is on the line. I find myself with Jack 10 offsuit on the button, and I decide to raise it up. Yacht Club's in the big blind and decides not to 3-bet me. He just puts in the cold call with Queen Jack offsuit. So I'm in a tough spot here, and now we're going to go heads up. We give a little fist bump to Yacht Club, knowing that this is the hand that's going to determine the knit game. And it's definitely the closest I've been to paying out so far tonight. The flop is pretty bad, but also it's bad for both of us. So whoever bets first should just take this down. It comes 8-4-4, and Yacht Club checks it over to me. Being in position and having the pre-flop aggression, I decided to bet out for $375. I just want him to fold, clean up some equity here, win the pot, get rid of that button, and move on to the next hand. But Yacht Club is a little bit sticky. He decides he can't fold just yet. He has to put that $375 in order to not pay out $1,600. He knows he's in a bad spot, but puts in the call nevertheless. And we see a miracle card on the turn, the 10 of spades. What the heck? How are we running so good in this live stream tonight? Yacht Club checks it over to me, and I think betting here is probably the best play in the long run. But when you add in the nit game factor to it as well, checking behind here could be a devastating move for Yacht. For instance, me checking behind here knowing I probably have the best hand, Yacht is going to have to bluff off into me with any of his ace and king highs, along with queen jack offsuit as well. So even though I'm giving him a free card to improve with his 14% equity, I like the play, and the 8 of hearts also seals his fate. It gives him the 0% chance to win this. And look at this. He now realizes that queen high might not be good. He has to get me to fold some sort of hands like my ace and king high hands in order for him to win. So he bets out for $475 and I snap call him. That was the plan. He turns over the hand that is no good. We're taking down that pot, earn ourselves an additional $200. But even better than that, we do not have to pay out anybody else at the table. This next hand, we find ourselves in what any poker player would consider a dream spot. Mo Money picks up my favorite hand, pocket sevens, from the +2 position and raises it up to $300. Ram is in the cutoff and decides just to call with a premium, king queen of clubs. Paolo calls with queen 10 of hearts. And what do we get? Pocket kings. Let's go. From the small blind, there's a raise and 2 calls in front of us. This is going to look like a squeeze, and it's just groovy that we do in fact have a premium hand. I want to go large here because usually when Ram and Paolo are going to call this $300, they're also going to want to call a large bet as well. So I can't just make it $900 or $1,200. I need to go super large here, and I make it $1,600, which should just thin the field. But after Mo Money folds my favorite hand, Ram gets sticky with king queen of clubs. So definitely the player I wanted to call because we have pocket kings. He has king queen suited. Even though we're out of position, it's the best situation we could hope for. But unfortunately for us, the flop comes ace high, ace 7-4 rainbow. Even though I have a 99% chance to win this hand, Ram could have any sort of ace X combos. So yeah, interesting spot here. I hope I can just bet and get him to fold. Could also be checking it over to him, but that's kind of a weak play. So I decided to keep up the aggression and bet out for $1,500. And unfortunately for us, the board was not king or queen high. That would have been bad for Ram. We might have been able to get a double up. He folds that hand. That wraps up this amazing session here at TCH. Shout out to Mallory and everyone who put on a great show tonight. What a huge win. My biggest win ever at TCH Live. Alrighty guys, that wraps up that insane 25.50, which turned into a 50-100 for 3 out of the 4 hours. We got out of that game for a profit of $9,915, almost 10K, but we lost a $500 flip at the end. The Caterpillar on the top lip definitely did the trick. Huge win there, and we also won 3 of the nit games, which means we made $600, which is factored into that total. But losing a nit game would have been absolutely horrible. It means we would have lost $1,400 to $1,600 per game. Luckily, we won all 3 of them, and one of them, it came all the way down to the wire with Yacht Club. You guys saw that in the vlog. Really appreciate all the support, you guys. We just broke 300,000 subscribers, and I have a lot of fun content planned in the future. I'm taking shots in big games, having almost all of my action in every single vlog that you watch, and I really appreciate all the support, you guys. If you guys play between now and the next video, good luck on the felt. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.